Welcome to the 700 Club. Let's go over to the CBN newsroom for today's top stories.
Gordon, we begin in New York City, where police are investigating whether a man who attacked 3 officers with a machete at a New Year's Eve celebration was inspired by radical Islamic beliefs. The attack coming just after 10 p.m., about 8 blocks from Times Square, just outside the high security zone, where revelers are screened for weapons. The man attacking 2 of the 3 officers struck with a machete.
Unprovoked, a 19-year-old male approached an officer and attempted to strike him over the head with a machete. The male then struck 2 additional officers in the head.
One of the officers shot back, hitting the suspect in the shoulder. After hearing the shots, those on the scene celebrating New Year's Eve running away out of fear.
We thought, somebody's trying to shoot as many people as possible. Another mass shooting.
New York Mayor Eric Adams praising the police response, saying he spoke with one of the officers as he was being stitched up.
He understood that his role saved lives of New Yorkers today, and we're really pleased by the response and how our officers handled this situation.
Investigators traveled to the suspect's home, 19-year-old Trevor Bickford from Maine. They believe he traveled to New York City earlier in the week. They're examining whether he came to New York specifically to attack police officers. His mother reportedly told police she was concerned her son was moving toward dangerous Islamist views, and his writings reportedly indicate he had recently been radicalized.
The FBI, through the Joint Terrorism Task Force, is working very closely with them to determine the nature of this attack, and we will run every lead to ground.
Investigators believe the attacker acted alone. The New York Police Department pointing out a security bulletin had warned jihadist websites had called for attacks using level tactics like stabbings. Sources told ABC News the diary reportedly belonging to the suspect was found at the scene of the attack. They said the last entry indicated he thought he would die in the attack and requested a burial according to Islamic tradition. As for the officers, all 3 have been released from the hospital. The mayor pointing out one of them had just graduated from the academy Friday.
It just goes to show you, if it's not the first day or it could be your last day, the actions that police officers must take every day are life-threatening situations.
The family of the man accused of killing 4 college students in Idaho says they love and support him as they support his presumption of innocence. And they said there are no words to express the sadness they feel for the families of the victims. 28-year-old Brian Kohberger plans to waive an extradition hearing so he can quickly be brought to Idaho to face murder charges. His attorney, a public defender, said Kohberger is eager to be exonerated. He said Kohberger should be presumed innocent and not tried in the court of public opinion. But police in Moscow, Idaho say they believe they've got their man. Investigators obtained samples of Kohberger's DNA directly from the suspect after he was arrested. A recent Pentagon report is shedding light on a military buildup in the country considered to be the greatest national security threat to the United States. China has long worked to outpace the U.S. economically, and now its sights are set on the military front. Experts warn if America doesn't act now, the communist regime could become the leading power in the world. National security correspondent Caitlin Burke has that story.
The Chinese Communist Party is conducting the largest military modernization effort in the country's history, a move the Pentagon believes is not only in preparation for taking Taiwan, but also for overtaking the United States as the world's leading superpower.
I see the United States as the world's leading democratic power, and China is the world's leading authoritarian power. If we don't realize that we're in a competition, we're going to lose that competition, and our core national security, economic interests will be at stake.
The newly released DoD report on China's military strength includes some significant findings. In 2021, Beijing tested 135 ballistic missiles, more than the rest of the world combined. Their nuclear stockpile sits at around 400 warheads, but is expected to grow to about 1,500 by 2035. The PRC is stealing technology from the United States and sending it directly to its military. They have strategic partnerships with Iran and Russia, and they're looking to build new military bases around the world.
Beijing is sprinting to build the capability to carry out their words. They're matching actions with words. That's, to me, the bottom line.
Bradley Bowman, the senior director of the Center on Military and Political Power at Freedom for Defense of Democracies, says China is clearly preparing to take Taiwan, even if it means a direct military conflict with the U.S. He believes how we respond could determine whether or not China displaces America in the power competition.
If you don't like what you're seeing in Xinjiang with what I would call crimes against humanity and some have called genocide, if you don't like what you've seen in Hong Kong with the extinguishment of freedom there, if you don't like what you see with the bullying in the South China Sea, and if you don't like the saber rattling in the Taiwan Strait, if America stands down and becomes insular and stares at our belly button and thinks we can get away with ignoring the world, we're going to see a heck of a lot more of that globally.
Some believe Beijing's military buildup is simply to match the economic power they've become. But Bowman argues without transparent strategic dialogue with the U.S., the Pentagon is right to sound the alarm.
And when we don't have that transparency and we don't know exactly what's going on, it forces the Pentagon to assume the worst. And when both sides are assuming the worst about the other, it leads to dangerous miscalculation.
Bowman says the U.S. has what it takes to deter Chinese aggression, but there needs to be more of a sense of urgency coming from Washington. He says that would involve immediate funding to ramp up our own military modernization efforts and to start acquiring the weapons needed to defend democracy worldwide. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Turning now to another important issue, abortion. College students who become pregnant often think they must choose between having a baby or getting a degree. Many of these women feel isolated and unsupported. But thanks to an organization in Alabama, that narrative is changing, one step at a time. Charlene Aaron brings us that story.
The nonprofit group Baby Steps helps pregnant and parenting student moms at Auburn University with housing, support, and community. It can empower them to have their baby and education, a mission Baby Steps hopes to spread to other campuses across the country.
We have housing in the front house for our student moms that have newborns, but then we have 3 apartments separate in the back for mamas who have toddlers.
Baby Steps has operated near the Auburn campus for the last 5 years. Director of Operations Caitlin Willing shares how it all started.
In 2017, Michelle Schultz actually founded Baby Steps. She had an unplanned pregnancy here in Auburn when she was a student, a junior, and she didn't know what to do. She really thought her life was over the way that it was and didn't think that she could stay in school and finish her degree.
When I initially found out that I was pregnant, I thought, what is that blue line right there? Because I was not ready. I wasn't expecting it.
That's the reality for many young college students who fear that a child could shatter their dreams of getting an education.
I was driving to school and to work, so I work full-time, and I was living in Tallahassee. I had to drive 45 minutes to work. I'd go to school. I'd have to drive 45 minutes home, and by the time I got home, it was time to get Riley ready for bed. There was so much disconnect from trying to juggle being a parent and going to school.
An issue Willing knows all too well.
When I was a junior on Auburn's campus as well, I had an unplanned pregnancy, and navigating that was probably one of the most trying times in my life. I didn't know if I could stay in school and finish my degree.
Located just a short walk from campus, Baby Steps provides resources to help women on their journey to a college degree while also embracing motherhood.
There is a gap here where women may say, I do want to have my child, but now what do I do? And we know that the most amount of unplanned pregnancies happen between the ages of 18 and 29. So we saw that there was a need for a resource to help women truly finish their education. And the way that we can do that is to take all of the things off their plate that are stressing them out.
An on-campus club that helps meet the needs of student moms is just one way to alleviate some of that pressure.
We help moms in tutoring. We package and deliver meals this year, which is a new thing that we started, so that's fun. We get to offer babysitting services to moms.
Auburn senior Devin McGlong says volunteering to help fellow students is both rewarding and inspiring.
It's really cool to see graduation pictures from them because they look so proud, and they should be, because they did such a huge thing. Like, they raised a kid and they got an education, putting in the work that takes. Like, I can't imagine how hard it is.
While Auburn does not fund the on-campus club, Willing sees it as an asset to the university.
We have so many resources on campus because we do help their student retention. They want their girls to stay in school. It is such a beautiful way this community here in Auburn has stepped up and said, we're going to fill in the gaps for these women and we're going to help them succeed.
As a graduate with a degree in human development and family studies, Willing says it's refreshing to see other women fulfill their goals.
We've helped 18 students graduate, walk across that stage, whether they're still pregnant or have a little one in tow, which has been a beautiful thing. We've served 85 student moms in some capacity since opening our doors in 2017. And we have had 8 girls live in this home and finish their degree.
Many are beyond grateful.
Without baby steps, I don't think I could invest in my child the way that I needed to. And they gave me that window of opportunity, and I'm glad I took it.
Much needed help that will soon expand to young mothers-to-be on other campuses.
We are currently going to the University of Central Florida. So we have one fully functioning site here on Auburn University. We are in the works of getting their campus launching, and we have another campus that's not too far behind them that we're working with to open their doors.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News, Auburn, Alabama.
Those are today's top stories from CBN News.